Hi there, Leo. Welcome to your mid-July 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. It's interesting that I got the Moon card for the first card because, of course, you know that the Sun goes into Leo in the third week of the month, and in that month before it does so, it's considered your hibernation period. So it's because it's the 12th house. So I'm going to pick an additional card. Let me cut the cards. And one last card. Or the reason, there's just certain cards that I don't end with, and I picked, I could have left it at the 10 of Wands. It's not so bad, but it's not something that really kind of sums things up for me. That's why. The heart of and maybe that's because of the nature of this reading, the heart of the matter is the Moon card. The Moon in astrology rules Cancer, which I was talking about. That's the 12th house for you. The Moon in the tarot is connected to Pisces. And because it's connected to Pisces, it's associated with something where you don't know everything that is going on. And so you may feel this sense of, I think all of us have experienced this where we're dealing with someone. So it's usually like this relationship situation, but it can be definitely like in a workplace, and you feel like you're being left out of the loop. If it's with other people, like if it's multiple people, or if it's with your partner, you may feel like, something isn't quite right here. I think this person may not be telling me the whole story. Maybe they're telling a partial truth, but they're leaving something out. So that's kind of what the Moon can represent. It's kind of similar to the High Priestess in a way, but it can also be connected to creativity and the intuition in general. And like I said, it's associated with Pisces in the tarot, but also through astrology. Rules Cancer. And one thing that I wanted to say is that in on August 1st, you are going to have there is going to be a full moon in your opposite sign of Aquarius, so that goes into that seventh house of committed partnerships. So sometimes that might be maybe this is a timing card that things start to come out that were where there was deception, because that's, the Moon can represent deception. In the past position, we have the Four of Wands, and this can be a card of the happy home. And the person who, there's, with the Wands, it's that fire element, so there's that sense of enthusiasm about the situation. And you, as a Leo, are a fire sign, so you naturally, when you are tuned into something or aligned with something, you have that sort of feeling about whatever it is that you're dealing with. So the implication can be that when you don't have what you're happy about, that it's something else, that can feel the opposite of that. And when you don't have that, then you're not as eager to be around it. And the higher message is the Knight of Cups. So we have the white horse, we have the knight, and the reason that they depict him holding this, whatever these roses or whatever they are, is because this is a romantic figure. And you can see he's wearing like Converse shoes. And I think the reason that they do that in this particular deck is that they're showing that the wands are, connected to this youthful, or maybe because it's a knight too, but that youthful energy, the fiery energy that comes from either somebody chronologically younger, or they might be older, but they have a youthful spirit. And so what can be happening with this is that I see with some of these other cards that there's a dichotomy. There's the Three of Swords and the Four of Cups can be signs of disconnection and downright feelings of rejection. The moon as a centerpiece is the idea of what might be really going on. And we have these two cards that, to me, they exhibit that idea of, romanticism as well as passion. This is how Leo people wish to live, but sometimes we can't have what we want because of past choices that we've made. So if you have, for instance, if you are in a relationship with someone and you know, maybe there's a part of you that knows that this person is not being faithful to you, because even the this is one of the, the outcome cards, the idea of feeling rejected, feeling or being in a three-party situation. Maybe it's showing that you're in denial over this. And what that does is it keeps you from meeting that person that is connected to the Knight of Cups. Or maybe that person already exists in your life and you have gotten involved with somebody that you do not trust. When I look at the card that is the challenge card, we have the Page of Wands. And what I think that this really can mean is that Leo people tend to go into things very, move very quickly. And I think, the Page of Wands as a card of action is about that, because fire itself, and that would include the other fire signs, do tend to be, again, passionate. So they, there's an impatience there where they want to make something happen because they just are so eager. And that can work against your intuition, and the moon is connected to that as well. So against your better judgment. But really, judgment to me is more the intellect, and the moon is more the intuitive side. But something not being in alignment with that because the person is so caught up in their passion. What's coming in is the Four of Cups. And so what this suggests is that you will see whatever the situation is. And this could even be, like I said before, this could be something to do with work matters, where you no longer feel comfortable in that environment. And you will also feel maybe not motivated, not in tune with it, because the Four of Cups can be a card of disinterest, flat feelings, not feeling like you're enthused about what is happening in that space and wanting to do it. But again, I think the reason I would say this too is that Leo is a fixed sign. Fixed signs don't really welcome change. And yet, Leo is a fire sign, and fire is very expansive. And part of the whole idea of expansion is the willingness to change, to shift, to grow, meaning that you are exploring new territory. And so that is kind of the conflict within Leo sometimes, is the need to charter new territory, but then that sense of kind of sticking to what one knows. And I think that's, the cautionary tale, if I had ended the reading this way, the Three of Swords as the outcome card, feeling like emotionally, feeling like your heart is broken, feeling like you're being rejected. And so, for instance, in the workplace, if you have felt like this undercurrent, negative undercurrent, for whatever reason, that could, but you decide to stay, you could see over and over again this kind of like being passed over for promotions, given inferior assignments, and things like that, that make you feel like you are not being treated with dignity, and with respect. And so that just triggers more and more negative emotions, or with the Four of Cups, sense of dissatisfaction. So I did pick additional cards to represent, or to see what other things that they would suggest. And one of the cards that I got is a Ten of Wands, which is a card of, one of the meanings that I often, from one of my books, it says the burdens of success, which has to do with people who maybe they have gotten a promotion, but now they feel saddled down by all of the responsibilities. But I see for this particular reading that this could be a card of looking at where you tend to pick up the slack for others and do what they need to do for themselves. So we could talk about codependency, for instance, or simply for those Leos who are, Leo is right next to the sign of Virgo. So if you have, Mars in Virgo, for instance, you may have this drive to, make everything right in this workplace, but at your own expense. If you're doing the work of two people because that's what you were told to do, and you're being very cooperative because you want to, help out. That's what the Virgo want to improve the situation, but it could be at your own expense. So the thing that may seem counterintuitive is this idea of, if you are being that person who is doing what is asked of you, will you be treated with more respect? And unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. Somebody could be the person who agrees to do everything, and they get taken for granted. They're not even given that option. That actually happened to me. And I think that sometimes when you have boundaries, which, the Ten of Wands can be like that, overworking in general. Like, even if you're asked by your boss and said, oh, can you, work overtime or da-da-da, and, helping them out is one thing, but if they, ask you all the time to do it, and you do because you think it's going to, score points, and somebody else, they're like, no, I have my own time. I mean, I have other things that I want to do in my life, and that person seems to get more respect. That's because they respect themselves. And I know that there are people who are narcissists and selfish, and the boss likes that person better because they're the same way, So it does work that way too. But what I'm saying is that look at this issue in your life and see how that plays into things. Because then I picked an additional card, and I got the Five of Cups, and this is a card of grieving the loss of something. So in some cases, this can also be with relationships. If you have been in a relationship that is demeaning to you and whatnot, and maybe you're confused, you're being gaslighted, maybe that's what the Moon card represents, but you want what the Knight of Cups represents. That's what Leo people are very romantic, but you may have some grief work that needs to be done, that you have not fully, dealt with something in your past. And so it's very hard to, maybe you're very confused. That's another thing I didn't say, is that the moon card can be confusion. So it makes it hard to make a decision because it's coming from maybe a bit of a hazy idea of what it exactly is going on within yourself. So the final card I picked is the King of Pentacles. And this card, although you could say this is a card of somebody who is very affluent and they're able to help others. It's almost like because kings can be fathers, so it's like the mentor, the person in the community who is funding things because they're the ones who are wealthy. But if we're talking about interpersonal relationships, this can be somebody who is very, very grounded. So they're not emotionally reactive. They're very, and they're also very practical. They're not going to allow themselves to get caught up in drama because they know that, pentacles relate to energy. And so the draining energy of toxic relationships is so, destructive to our lives that it does, when we think of pentacles, and it's like what we invest energy in. So that's part of why we have to be so careful about, what we put our attention on, because we're really investing in that thing. And if it's something that is not leading to peace of mind and to a sense of balance within ourselves, then it's like, it seems like it's very destructive to do something like that. So finding ways to ground yourself and being able to make plans if you are in a relationship or at a job where you know that there's something missing or something wrong, that you're able to perceive that, because the moon card could be like there's all these different ideas. Well, it's more of like sense impressions that are kind of roiling around inside of yourself, and you really don't know what the truth is. And when you have that intuitive guidance, it's like, being really connected to wisdom, instead of just sifting through your varying thoughts. That can be kind of fear-based at times too. So anyway, that's what I have for you, Leo. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I am promoting my double astrology readings called my deep dive readings, because they're a package deal. An hour of natal chart interpretation and an hour of transits for the upcoming 12 months. And because this is your solar return time, this may be a great time to see what kind of themes are coming up for you in the next year. And I have other types of readings as well. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.